Hello. This video is about interoperability. Specifically, I'm going to focus on harvesting and federation, and I'm going to illustrate this mostly by example. So let's say you are PBS, and you have a digital collection, which is made up of items and associated metadata records. The metadata records are separate from the items themselves, maybe in a different directory structure, maybe on a different server, it really doesn't matter. According to the one-to-one principle, on which the Dublin Core metadata schema is based, each metadata record refers to a single item. The way that one-to-one relationship is preserved is by using a unique ID. There are several systems to create unique IDs, DOI, URI, Perl, whatever, as long as the ID is unique. When these metadata records are exposed means accessible on a server, each metadata record with a unique URL. They can be harvested. More on that in a moment. So, now along comes the National Science Foundation's digital library, the NSDL, which is an aggregator, essentially a meta search tool. The NSDL allows users to search across multiple collections. The NSDL does not host the content of these collections. The content provider, PBS or whomever, hosts the content. The NSDL only hosts metadata records. The NSDL core integration group at Cornell, at some point in the past, wrote a harvester to go out to individual collections and harvest and bring back metadata records. A harvester uses the Open Archives Initiative Protocol for Metadata Harvesting, OAI-PMH. OAI-PMH is a protocol like HTTP, the Hypertext Transfer Protocol is a protocol, which is to say it's a set of rules for how data is exchanged between two computers. Often, HTTP governs the exchange between your computer, a client machine, and a server. In this case, it's probably between two servers. HTTP governs, among other things, the exchange of HTML data between a server and a browser. OAI-PMH governs the exchange of metadata records between servers. So, OAI-PMH is essentially an extension of and a narrower use case of HTTP. Anyway, so now those new metadata records are part of the NSDL's collection. OAI-PMH is an opt-out arrangement. The NSDL's harvester will visit the PBS metadata server periodically, and whenever PBS puts new metadata records online, the NSDL's harvester will harvest them eventually, adding them to the records that are searchable on the NSDL's site. If PBS doesn't want metadata records harvested, they don't put them in that directory or server. So now, when I, as a user, search the NSDL site, I will retrieve a bunch of metadata records from PBS, which point back to resources on PBS's website. And of course, the point is that this scales up. The NSDL sends a harvester to multiple digital collections. The harvester harvests new metadata records from each of those collections, so that when I, the user, search the NSDL, I retrieve metadata records that point back to resources in those digital collections. Federation, on the other hand, is more or less the opposite of harvesting. Federation is all about these arrows. Specifically, in federation, there is no harvester. Harvesting, as I just said, is an opt-out arrangement. If the collection owner doesn't want metadata records harvested, they shouldn't be put in a directory where the harvester will find them. Federation, on the other hand, is voluntary. The collection owner contributes metadata records to the federation. For example, like WorldCat. WorldCat does not contain every metadata record for every library collection in the world, only the ones that libraries have contributed to OCLC's federation, which is WorldCat. That's what federated search means. Searching in a federated collection is searching in a collection made up of contributed records. Now, with either a harvested or a federated collection, from the user's point of view, the end result is the same. It is a set of metadata records which can then be searched on or manipulated in a variety of ways. The important distinction is whether the arrangement is opt-in or opt-out on the part of the content provider, which implies the use of a harvester or a contribution mechanism. And all of that is on the back end, invisible to the end user.